Welcome to the 11th round of the Blitz tournament in Belgrade. Now we are playing very strong FIDE master, talented young guy. We again went for the exchange line of the Caro-Kann. I played knight f3, he went knight c6, c3. And in this game, I faced first time myself this line with the move bishop to f5. But queen b3 is the same move as if they go bishop g4, just if they go bishop g4, you go h3. Queen d7, and now this is very theoretical part, knight h4. There is many moves here now for black. Even the moves such a bishop a6 exist here, but there is even something like g6. Bishop e4 is the main move, but he went bishop g4. And what is the point of bishop e4 and bishop g4? They would like to provoke f3, and f3 creates the dark square weaknesses. So that's the main plan. That's why I went h3, and then later went for g4, eliminate a knight, and develop my bishop on g2. It's a not good square for the bishop. I should put my bishop here on e2. But okay, not a bad square. e6, very standard Caro-Kann structure, where white is having bishop pair. So this bishop is much better here, controlling this line and also supporting the pawn on g4 if I push h4, h5. So he went bishop d6, I went knight e2. The point is I should go alongside castles, king b1, rook c1, and then after c4 at least bishop on e2 would support that one. Knight g7 is a bad square for the knight. Knight should stand on f6 here. Why? Because later on this knight would be available to target these squares, especially now since I cannot push h4, knight on f6 will cause the problems to my pawn on g4. I went rook c1 because at some point I want to make the reference to this diagonal, at least to use it, so that's why I put my rook here, trying to break through. He went castles. White is more comfortable, but it's also hard to figure out what is the plan here for white. If there is no c4, then what I'm gonna do? I don't want to go h4 immediately. I went knight f3, not a best choice, because I'm closing this bishop, and also my knight doesn't have any big future on e5 or g5. I need support for the attack. He went rook b8, standard idea of pushing the pawn and creating minority attack. That's why he castled short. I'm not still castling because maybe I'm gonna go for h4, h5, maybe gonna castle and then push c4. But now I have to decide, because his next move is b5, and then the whole plan of c4 will be eliminated. But I decided to go h4. For some reason, engine is saying that black is actually more comfortable here. He went for b5, because my king is in the center, and my attack is not as good as it looks like. It looks very scary. It looks actually very scary, but it's not as good as it looks. Because he can always break through with some e5, b4, since my king is in the middle. He took. Maybe that was not the best option for him. I took with rook because I want to keep open h line. If I take with my pawn, then later if I go h6, he can just go something like g6, and you know, my own pawn will be a shelter in defense for black. So that's why I took with rook. If I can somehow perfectly bring my rook to h1 now, or somehow queen there, that would be game over. But it's not good to have rook in the front of the battery. Much better would be to have the rook behind and queen on h5. That will be unstoppable checkmate. Because now I cannot go for rook h8. Even though I have stacked rooks on the h-line, I cannot go for checkmate. I'm doubting, should I go knight g5 or knight h4? Or maybe queen c2? But I want knight g5. Not a good move, because he can go knight f4, and if I take, he'll take, then my knight is hanging, then e5 will happen, then rook e8. And as I mentioned, the attack is not as good as it looks like. He started playing passively and bringing his knights back, trying to reinforce the king side. That's a good sign, because I see that my opponent is scared of my attack. Instead of thinking how he can create some breaks, he actually got scared. It's time to reroute a queen. My queen needs to get into the game. He went f6. And now maybe the best idea would be to go knight h3, queen f3 and knight f4 later. But then I came up with one idea how I can complicate it more. I saw the time on clock is getting down for both of us, and I went knight h7. I know it's not a good move, like putting my knight there is not threatening anything, but it's confusing him. Because now he'll burn some time. Should he go rook c8 and look for counterplay, or should he play rook f7 and being more passive? It's a really good confusing move. You see he almost spent 20 seconds on that one. Rook f7, queen f3. I just wanted to play fast now to make his clock absolutely around 0. b4, c4. That's also the point in defense against the minority attack. We exchanged something and then I played b3. He took, I took, and now that's what I wanted, because now this pawn is scary. I'm gonna do something like this next, and my opponent is in a definitely big trouble. He played queen f4, and that's actually a huge blunder. You can pause the video to find a beautiful combination, how white actually simplifies everything. Queen a8, knight f8, we exchange everything, and now the point is rook h8. Take, take, and now the king is in a big trouble. It's also a good story that my king is not under any perpetual check. He went king h7. I went bishop b4. If he goes something like g6, there is at least queen f7, king h8, and queen f6 collecting everything, or just queen h6. He went f5, I take, he take, I take with my bishop, we exchange everything, and now this is totally winning position for white. King h8, firstly check queen h3 to make king come on g8, and then queen e6 check, king h8. Now I have enough time on the clock thinking about if there's any perpetual check, like can he take this guy on a2 if I take the bishop. I have enough time, I just took the bishop, and now the point if he takes here, I'm just winning this pawn, and he resigned the game. Yeah, that was another Caro-Kann exchange line, where I show no mercy to my opponents. I'm absolutely recommending this exchange line in Caro-Kann, especially in the Blitz and Rapid games. We are 8 out of 11, I'll see you in the next round.